Welcome to the video. In this video, I made a beat from sounds in the YouTube audio library. The YouTube audio library is a website where any YouTube creator can download sounds to use in their video, which made making this beat a bit of a sound design challenge. These sounds weren't really designed to be used in beats, so I had to think outside of the box a bit for this one. All right, let's get right into it. So here we are in the YouTube audio library, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hit sound effects. That's gonna take us to the right page. All right, that's good. That's what we're looking for. Aluminum can open. That's pretty good. It's like a tight bongo or something. I think this is gonna be our 808. Got something here. Obviously it says cymbals. We're gonna use it probably as the open hat. Hit with club. That's what we're looking for. There it is. There it is. That's gonna be our clap. That might work. That might work. That's all the sounds I'm gonna grab. I'm gonna go over to Ableton and fix them up. So I loaded up all the samples into Ableton. I'm gonna show you how I made each instrument. The cartoon metal thunk. I pitched it down. I just put some EQ, a glue compressor, not only compression, but because it's got this nice soft clip on it, and then saturator. This is a distortion, and then EQ, and then another saturator with a different type of distortion in the sampler. It's just a normal ADSR. I was going for like a shorter 808, and then pitch envelope. I run it through the sampler again. Distortion. We're boosting the next octave up, as well as putting more soft clipping in. This is to make sure that you can hear the 808 on like a laptop or a iPhone. I put a multiband compressor on there that boosted the whole thing. So what's going on in the actual sampler? Two things. Pitch envelope, it's about 9 milliseconds delayed. It adds like a punch later in your 808. All right, and the second thing that's going on is some FM synthesis. In kind of like basic terms, it's
a form of sound synthesis whereby the frequency of a waveform is changed by modulating its frequency with a modulator.
What waveform I'm using is a sine wave before and after. I'm going to bounce that out. Let's go through the effects. Distortion, glue compressor, and EQ. So that's it for the 808. Let's listen to the kick. So I took out a lot of the highs and a lot of the mids and low mids before and after. Camel Crusher, it's a distortion plugin. More distortion, more glue compressor, and filtering out the top. All right, so for the clap. If you've ever looked at a clap, it's actually not one impact, it's about 3 stuttered right after each other. So what I did here is 4 different claps, about 8 milliseconds apart. And then I actually added a reverse clap just to like add a little something at the end of the clap. The effects on there is OTT. It is Ableton's multiband compressor. There's actually a free VST that you can download that's an emulation of this multiband compressor. Camel Crusher, EQ, distortion, and then erosion. It's just adding noise. And more EQ, gain, and then glue compressor. The hi-hat was really hard to get right. It's just a pitch envelope, very short one, just a little bit of high end and took out the lows. Distortion, re-EQ'd it, put a compressor in, and then sausage fattener. That's another kind of like compression and distortion plugin. Re-EQ'd it after that. What I'm doing over here with this EQ is I'm trying to introduce like a fundamental frequency. I loaded it up into this hi-hat sampler, and I'm also adding a envelope to shape the volume. I'm using random pan. Whenever there's a MIDI note going through it, it's going to change the pan of the sample to give your hi-hats some stereo width. Now for the open hi-hat, I used the same cymbals sample. I just EQ'd it, introduced some white noise to it as well, and I did a lot of pitch envelope on it. It's 25 semitones. The percussions, it's just loading them up in there. For this one, I'm actually using a stereo delay. The right signal is coming in 9 milliseconds after the left one. It sounds like it's going from one side to the other. And then for this shaker, I'm using the cassette tape, and I introduced some sine wave frequencies to it as well. Altogether, the percussions sound like this. I want to show you the bass that I made with the alien beam. Same thing over and over again. FM synthesis to it. I used the SW6 That's a saw wave. I pitched the sample up a lot. I wanted to make it sound like it was moving a lot, so I added some moving filters on it. Serum effects is something you get when you buy Serum if you're just trying to like add some quick effects on there and not like pull a bunch of different plugins in. So this is Hyper. It's just taking a signal and detuning it. And then what I'm doing here is changing a low pass filter with this guy right here. Another Serum effects on here, and it's doing more detuning, adding a phaser, chorus, reverb, and a formant filter on there. Another OTT compressor, sausage fattener, and then I took out the highs on that so it could fit underneath the instruments. So now for the instruments. Synth alarm clock. I did some tuning, added some pitch envelope. It's got a negative amount, so it's gliding up into it. Let's listen to how that sounds with just the sampler. I added Serum effects in again, adding a chorus-like effect and a small amount of downsampling with the distortion, and then a phaser on there. So that's what it sounds like now. If you're listening on headphones, you can probably tell that it went from being in the middle to being on the sides. Then I added backmask. It chops up your sound and it reverses each section. The next thing I added was some bells. This came from the Ship bell. I pitched it up, put some Serum effects on it. It's a lot of delay and reverb. And then I added some guitar. I used the instrument strum. I needed to take out the low end a bit. And then I used guitar rig effects. I used a preset called Breath You Hold. I'm going to go ahead and arrange that now and then play it back for you.